It's a surprising day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast has just unveiled a crazy new secret lair based on the original 80s Ghostbusters movie. I was not expecting this at all, but I can say the secret lair looks awesome.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a very fun installment of Mega Magic News. Today, we're going to be talking about and looking at Ghostbusters Secret Lair action. But before we do that, just want to let you know about a little different action that's going on tonight. I have a box of Duskmorn House of Horrors, and I am going to be opening up booster packs of this live over on my live stream channel. I'll put like the little indicator here of what the channel looks like, and also pinned down in the comment section up at the top will be a link if you want to come over and hang out. It should be a lot of fun. I actually haven't seen every single card from Duskmorn, so some of these I'm going to be reacting to for the first time. And I'm interested to look at it through a new lens now that we actually have the Ghostbusters tied into this as well, because I wasn't expecting that, and it makes more sense now why there's so many different dudes who have Ghostbuster style technology in their gear, right? I was going, why exactly is this going down with Duskmorn? But that has been made more evident. Now, in terms of the secret layers, what's going on is apparently Wizards of the Coast is going to make multiple Ghostbuster secret layers, and the part that's unclear is if it will just be based on the original 80s Ghostbusters or if each secret layer is going to try and capture the nostalgia for different groups and actually probably try and capitalize on the new stuff as well, right? Because you have the old school Ghostbuster stuff, which is beloved, and then you have the 2016 Ghostbuster stuff, which I don't think anybody is really looking for, but once they decided that didn't work, they did a few more Ghostbuster movies, the newest one being Frozen Empire. So there's a possibility that they'll have one or two for those movies. There's also the possibility of them trying to tie into the cartoon as well. So you've got multiple different avenues. I mean, depending as well, they might even have some references to the Ghostbuster video game stuff, depending. Some of the video games are forgettable, but some of the Ghostbuster games actually had a bunch of effort put into them with real voice acting from the original Ghostbusters, you know? So I'm a fan of the very first Ghostbusters movie, like a big fan of it. I thought it was a really fun comedy that was different than anything that I've seen, and it really holds up. I watched it again a few months ago and was like, this movie really does hold together well. So for me, I was super pleased to see that there are 80s era Ghostbuster secret layers on the way. This is something that is a lot of fun. And if you're a Commander player, the way this is set up, you can just jump in and build yourself a deck based on the main character of this secret lair, who obviously is Slimer. Now, enough jibba jabba here. Let's jibba jabba over there and look at the cards. We're starting off our Ghostbusters secret lair silliness with Slimer, Voracious Apparition. 1 blue, 1 green, 1 black, and 2 for a legendary ooze. As Slimer enters, you may exile 2 creature cards from graveyards. If you do, he enters as a copy of one of those cards, with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on him equal to the power of the other card. So, obviously, if you're familiar with the mimeoplasm, you straight up knew what I was talking about already. If you have never dealt with the mimeoplasm, let me tell you, it is awesome. You tend to get to take some crazy creature from a graveyard and then just get a boosted up version of it where it's like, oh, hey, let me just go ahead and get rid of that demon from your graveyard to add 6 counters on top of what is already a very nasty creature that I've selected from anybody's graveyard. This is fantastic. On top of that, it doesn't target with its ability, so nobody can do anything to try and respond specifically to you choosing cards. I mean, when you cast it, obviously they can respond and do things before he comes out and resolves his actual ability, but it doesn't matter in terms of targeting. So there's no way to stop somebody from getting to make a beef boy, I guess, unless you take away everybody's graveyard. So technically there is a way, but it's not going to be easy. I have a lot of fond memories of bringing the beat down with the mimeoplasm in my cube. But this one looks a lot different because obviously it's been given the skin of Slimer, and the entire secret layer is 100% based on Slimer. And as a nice little bonus, because you can use this Slimer as your actual commander, all of the other cards in this box also fall into the color identity, so you're not stuck in a situation where you can't use all of your Slimer cards together. And you've got the addition of the flavor text saying, he's an ugly little spud, isn't he? Right? So it's got some fun movie quotes. A lot of them are quite memorable, and the mimeoplasm being something that consumes beings from graveyards and turns into an amalgamation of them, Slimer having an ability based on consumption, absolutely feels like it fits. Now, let's see what else we've got. After that, we've got Slimed. So, 1 blue and 1 for Trick Bind. It's got Split Second, obviously you can cast it at instant speed, counter target activated or triggered ability. If a permanent's ability is countered this way, activated abilities of that permanent can't be activated this turn. The flavor text says, he slimed me. I feel so funky. And that is obviously attributed to Peter. Now, it's funny that they went out of their way. You can tell from the hair and everything. That's absolutely Bill Murray. But so that they didn't have to pay any of the rights for anything, bam, go like this, all of a sudden, it's just a random Ghostbuster dude. So that's how they kept the costs down on this. You will not see any of the Ghostbusters specifically depicted in this secret layer, but considering it looks like there's going to be multiple of these secret layers, we could get it in other ones. We'll have to see exactly how it's going to break down. I don't see how after we get away from Slimer, unless they do iconic Ghostbuster items like Ecto 1 and things like that, right? So I guess we'll have to see what they've got in store. But guess who can't see? Peter, because he got slimed, son. And the ability feels like it makes sense in terms of he's coming at you, just charging down the hall like in the movie, right? Disrupts what you're doing, which is countering the activated or triggered ability. And then because you're actually slimed and you've got to take time to get all of that off of you, that equals the whole, well, activated abilities of that permanent can't be activated again because they got slimed and have to clean themselves. So the flavor actually works out quite well in my opinion. And Trick Bind is a fun little card that you can just surprise people with out of nowhere and go, no, I know you thought that thing was going to happen, but it's not. And remember, it has Split Second, which is what really makes it powerful, because when a card with Split Second goes on the stack, nothing else can be cast. There are very few abilities even that can be activated under those circumstances. Things like Morph still can, but there are very, very few corner cases in Magic that can get around Split Second. So in a lot of cases, this is totally going to hose your opponent, or I mean, at least slow them down, right? Then we've got Escape Containment. And this is Incarnation Technique. Now, this is a card that I have never used because ultimately I'm not a fan of the Demonstrate ability. 1 black and 4, it's a sorcery with Demonstrate, mill 5 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And Demonstrate basically lets your opponent make a copy of the spell and you can make a copy of the spell. So it's like, yo, well, I can have 2 copies of this if you want a copy. And to me, even though it's asymmetrical and I'm going to get 2 uses out of it, I don't really want to give you a use, right? Now, obviously that changes things in Commander when you've got multiple different players going on and it swaps up the vibe overall. But in a one-on-one game, Demonstrate is not an ability that I really like. But this is a fun use of it, right? Because the idea of Incarnation Technique is it's a raise the dead, reincarnate them, which normally would actually be an effect that white has, because black is more about like zombifying and like raising you back up in a dead form. But either way, the concept here is obviously that the ghosts have escaped the containment facility when that one bureaucrat comes in and he doesn't believe any of it. Shut it down! And it's like, no, you don't want to shut this down. And he does. And then ghosts just flood out. And then you've got a quote from Ray saying, "We could be on the verge of a fourfold cross rip, a PKE surge of incredible, even dangerous proportions." I love all the Ghostbusters. I was about to say, each one of them has their own individual personality, right? Peter is cynical and he's out for himself and out for money. Ray is just this really excited, like, oh, I'm super into the science. I'm super excitable. This is all incredible to me. And Egon is he's very interested in the science as well, but he's got this sort of understated, non-hyper. He's like the opposite end of the spectrum. Both him and Ray really care about the science of what's going on, but they're both on different levels for the excitement. And it's such a fun movie. Anyways, next card, Pernicious Deed. So this is, you can see Slimer here eating a wedding cake. That is the deed. He is destroying that wedding cake. So 1 green, 1 black, and 1 for a card that isn't renamed in this case because the name just fits. Pay X, sacrifice Pernicious Deed, destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with mana value X or less. So this was originally in the Apocalypse set, and Planeswalkers didn't exist then, so they didn't get included in this whole destruction vibe. So when you look at it, you go, okay, that works. Slimer paid a little bit of mana, or somebody did, for him to completely obliterate a wedding cake. It's got the right vibe, right? And the flavor text, I can actually even picture the hotel manager that's being quoted here. The guests are starting to ask questions, and I'm running out of excuses. I love the whole interplay between the hotel and Peter making the deal with them, and then them basically, oh, we don't want to pay your fees. And it's like, we can just let the ghost back out. Oh, the movie's so much fun. So this is a fun card as well. Moving on. We've got Slimer's Feast. This is Windfall. 1 blue and 2 for a sorcery. Each player discards their hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. Obviously, this is sweet when your opponent has a mitt full of cards and you've gone through all yours, or you only have a couple cards left, and you're just like, yo, I'll trade these dregs that don't mean anything for a brand new hand. And when you're playing in Commander, the level of this moves right upwards because there's more people to feed off of, and there's more people playing crazy, I have no maximum hand size, and drawing all kinds of cards as well. So overall, Windfall is a solid card that doesn't seem like it's going to go to style anytime soon. That's something that I like about everything except for the incarnation technique, is that it all feels like it's going to hold up over time and will be pretty sweet to use. Incarnation technique, not so much. Not so much. The mimeoplasm's eating stuff in the graveyard. Anyways, I don't need to get into that. Let's stick where we are. We're talking about how good Windfall is. We've already talked about that. So the flavor text says, "Sir, what you had there is what we refer to as a focused, non-terminal repeating phantasm, or a class 5 full roaming vapor. Real nasty one, too." I love it. I love the fact that Ray talks to people in this scientific jargon that it just makes it sound so much more scientific and intense when you describe it that way. I specifically like the part where he calls it a class 5 full roaming vapor. It adds so much flavor to the character and to the world and ghosts as well. It's not as simplistic as it could be, especially considering Ghostbusters was a comedy, right? So you got Slimer here, and he's just going to town eating. Surprise, that's what he likes to do. So that's why he works quite well as the mimeoplasm. Overall, it ties together great. So for me, I think this secret layer is actually really solid, and I'm having a lot of fun with the idea of it. So thanks for coming and hearing me out. Like I said, I'll be doing a live stream tonight over on my other channel where we're going to be opening up some Duskborn. So you're welcome to come and hang out with me while we do that. Other than that, I just want to say a big thank you to my patrons for supporting my channel, and I will see all of you in the next video.